This video was brought to you by Squarespace.
LS? My friends, the war is over. You can go home. You can go home now, everybody. Go back to your families. The war is over, and we lost. Earlier this generation, a number of lawsuits were filed against Nintendo, parents on behalf of their children, claiming that Nintendo was purposefully selling faulty products, even going so far as to say that Nintendo was hoping, planned obsolescence, selling controllers that inevitably had to be repaired or replaced. And I'm, of course, referring to the dreaded Joy-Con drift. 3 major lawsuits were filed. There was Sanchez versus Nintendo. Apparently that was dismissed in 2022. I didn't catch that. But then just now, the final 2 big ones, Diaz versus Nintendo and Carbajal versus Nintendo, they have officially been dismissed. I don't have any other info on this. It just kind of seems like everybody just sort of agreed to drop it. Everyone just kind of got tired of pursuing it or something. Maybe there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but just Nintendo and everybody just decided, let's call the whole thing off. And maybe it's not necessary because we've gone over this so many times, but I feel like I have to because the comments always go the same way. It is baffling to me that after all these years, we still have people who claim that Joy-Con drift was not real, or it's overblown, or it's simply a product of people misusing their controllers. And once more, I will say, I have been so careful with every single one of my game consoles, controllers, games, everything. I have never had any controller break or even wear down in such a way that made it difficult to use. Ever. I am so careful. And yet I have had so many pairs of Joy-Cons start to drift and become completely unusable. So many. And everyone that I know, every Switch player that I know, have all experienced the same thing. Pair after pair of Joy-Cons experiencing drift. There was something wrong with the design of the Joy-Cons. It is a fact. I'm happy for you if it never happened to you. We still don't know exactly what caused it, what environmental conditions or something, but it was a real thing, and it has cost people a lot of money. And it's true that Nintendo has offered free repairs in many territories, but not all of them, and not everybody is aware that this is a service that they offer. A lot of people have been forced to just buy more pairs of Joy-Cons. It's been a big problem for a lot of people, cost a lot of time and money. So it is disappointing to hear that these lawsuits have gone nowhere, because it felt good knowing that people were filing these lawsuits. It felt good that somebody's willing to, to stand up to Nintendo. And as always, I will say, I do not hate Nintendo. I do not think that they are one of those big, evil, soulless corporate entities. I think overall they're doing a great job, but this Joy-Con issue, it stunk. It was really just a really bad look for them. Stop. Quick reminder that this video was brought to you by Squarespace. If you need a website but have no idea how to make one, Squarespace makes it so easy, literally anyone can do it. All you have to do is start with a basic template, and from there, the intuitive site builder lets you format and tweak and embed anything and everything you could want. Creating and maintaining my website, Arlo recommends, was and is a snap. I like to automate my site, so my posts publish and push to social media without me doing a thing. If you want to look into how many people are visiting your site, Squarespace offers a great suite of analytics, as well as powerful extensions if you have more advanced needs. To try out Squarespace for yourself, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. Then when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/Arlo to save 10% off your first website or domain. And now for today's recommendation. This collection of BBC Earth's best spider clips. I've been on an animal video kick recently, and these clips of spiders, just absolutely nuts. I had no idea they were capable of some of this stuff. Thanks again to Squarespace. Now back to the video. I do not believe, as some of these people have claimed, that Nintendo was purposefully selling products, purposefully utilizing the idea of planned obsolescence. We'll sell them these controllers and they'll go bad and they'll have to buy more, mwahaha. It was not purposeful. I don't believe it was. I think it was just a flaw And Nintendo knew that it would be very expensive to fix that flaw. They didn't know how to fix it immediately, and they didn't want to have to compensate every single person on the planet who had bought a Joy-Con and was experiencing drift. They just didn't want to do it, and that's disappointing, especially because they've made so much money this generation. The Switch itself has made them so much money. They could afford it. They could afford to fix it. Again, I'll bring up Xbox 360 was experiencing the dreaded red ring of death, and Xbox was like, yeah, this is gonna cost us $1 billion, but it doesn't matter, we're gonna fix it. Because we have a brand to maintain. We have customer loyalty to foster, and it's disappointing that in Nintendo, I guess in Nintendo's eyes, this issue was an issue, but it wasn't big enough. It wasn't quite big enough for them to like have to fix. You know what I mean? It would be a very inconvenient problem to address head on. And yet that is what I wanted to see them do, and they refused to do it. So it was nice when people are filing these lawsuits, and it's disappointing to see them just finally fall through. That's it. Like this whole Joy-Con war. Nintendo won. In the end, they got their way. And like, what even were we looking for in terms of like compensation if these lawsuits did, like if these people won? Like, what do we want Nintendo to do? Well, I do think that in a class action lawsuit, like the idea is that affected people can like file a claim and get some money returned to them. And I think that would have really helped anybody who's experienced this problem. Maybe if they can provide like proof of purchase for all these different Joy-Cons or something, they could just get a little bit of money back. And I think that would have really, really helped. Nintendo offering free repairs in every territory, and even advertising that they're offering free repairs, trying to reach as many people as possible. That's another thing I wanted to see them do, and I think would have been great if these lawsuits, if they had won, maybe we would have seen something like that. But now that none of that is going to happen, it is disappointing. And here's the thing about it, though. Here's the thing I will admit. The Joy-Con issue seems to be more or less solved. I think that Nintendo was not able to address the issue head on and like fix it right away. It kind of seems like they've sort of improved the Joy-Cons over time, made maybe very small tweaks to the hardware itself, because the problem seems to have just kind of lessened over the years. Early on, it was awful. Like my first few pairs of Joy-Cons, like after 6 months to a year or something, they were like, by then they were completely unusable. But now I have had my Switch OLED since the OLED came out. What was it, like 2 years ago by now? And my nephew has played it handheld. He has used those Joy-Cons for a tremendous number of hours, way more than I ever even used my original Joy-Cons on my first model Switch. And despite that, they have not started drifting. It just kind of hasn't happened, and I've been pretty surprised. It hasn't happened. They do pop off of the Switch, like they don't even click on anymore, which is a problem in itself, but they have not drifted. So at least from my perspective, Nintendo seems to have fixed this. And I could be wrong. It could be that there are other people with Switch OLEDs and they're drifting too, but I also haven't heard it happening as much. I've not heard as many people complaining about it. It doesn't seem like my friends are experiencing it very much anymore. So I guess more or less the problem is fixed. And that is good, and I should be happy. And yet, despite that, or maybe even because of that, I'm still disappointed in Nintendo and in the fact that they have won, essentially, these lawsuits. I am still annoyed. I still don't like it, because it sets a very bad precedent. The Joy-Con problem was a very big problem, and Nintendo basically just said, nuh-uh. No, it isn't. And I know at one point they offered kind of a half apology and kind of admitted that something was going on, but they still never really truly addressed the problem. They were trying to offer some free repairs here and there and stuff, but for the most part, they just hid from the problem. They fought the expectation that they needed to address the problem head on and compensate people. They just said, nuh-uh, no we don't, we're not gonna fix it. And they did that for so long that now the problem seems to not really be a problem anymore, and they are essentially getting off scot-free. Nintendo has learned if the problem isn't quite big enough, you ignore it for long enough, you can get away with it. And that's what I don't like. You know, it's like a kid who won't clean their room. Won't do it. Parents are getting mad. They're threatening. You're going to get in trouble. Such and such. You got to clean your room. This is your responsibility. It's your room and it's your stuff. You are not the only person living in this house. You have to clean your room. Kid says, nah, not going to do it. Or maybe the kid kind of like toys with the idea of doing it, makes a few public statements. You know, I really think I might be ready to clean my room kind of soon. I've been taking preliminary steps to cleaning my room. Stay tuned, and then just doesn't clean the room. Years go by. Room is not clean, and eventually everyone just gets tired of it, and the parents just clean the room for them. The parents just do it. Whatever. We're all tired of this. We're tired of this mess. We're tired of this fight. Whatever. We'll just clean your room for you. What's the lesson that kid learns? You know what I mean? That's Nintendo right now. They didn't clean their room. They did a bad thing. They never had to answer for it. And now, oh, look at that. I guess everything turned out okay after all. Looks like we made the right decision. You know what? Maybe it doesn't matter that it's setting a precedent. Maybe this will never happen again, because if the problem was smaller, it would have been easier to accept. And if it were bigger, like I've said, I do believe Nintendo would have addressed it. They would have had to. They would have had much more of a big media scandal on their hands if there was a much bigger problem. You know, the systems themselves are breaking and are unplayable or something like that. Red Ring of Death kind of situation. They would have been forced to address it. But right here, it just skirted that line. It was just easy enough to ignore until the problem went away. And maybe that won't happen again. Maybe we won't get another issue like that. And the Switch kind of felt rushed to market, and so it was not like the best designed hardware that it seemed to be the least reliable hardware that Nintendo has ever produced. You know, most of their other systems made with the Nintendium and all that stuff, they seem to last forever. The Switches, just right out of the gate, did not feel as strong. But they've probably had a lot more time and money to spend on R&D for the next system, so it could be that Switch 2 comes out and it's great. It's as strong as a Game Boy, for all we know. So maybe it won't be a problem. But I still don't like it. It still doesn't feel good. It still feels kind of gross. You know, I still love Nintendo. I'm still buying their stuff. It's still happening. So, like, I get it. But that's it right there. That's it. They know they still have us. That's the thing. They know that I like them enough and I enjoy their products enough that I'm not going to let this one thing spoil everything, am I? I'm not going to boycott them forever and stop playing their games and quit my job as a Nintendo YouTuber just because of this one thing, right? So let's all just get back to playing games, and I have to just kind of grumble and do it. And I don't like it. But that's all I can do about it. It's all I'm willing to do. This video right here, this is what I'm doing about it. That's what I'm doing with my disappointment in them as a company. You're looking at it right now, and this is where it ends. This is it. This is the end of the Joy-Con saga. Oh well. Oh well. It is what it is, I guess. As always, I would love to know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments. And if you have a newer pair of Joy-Cons, you know, basically like Switch OLED and later, I'd really like to know if you are experiencing drift with those Joy-Cons. Like, if this has been a problem for you, does it seem like it is more or less solved for you as well? Please let us know. I love you. Goodbye.